Now, it is 7 a.m., and we want to tell you that this is a special edition of Eyewitness News. We are staying on past Good Morning America due to this major wildfire which is burning in Simi Valley during our extreme red flag conditions.
It's really windy out here. As we say that, Kathy, you're heading out. You got your horse here, Tucker. How are you dealing with the evacuation?
Best as I can. They have never evacuated this ranch, so luckily I found a trailer that's big enough to fit this horse. So we are leaving, and good luck to everyone.
Here on the ground, the flames were coming up the hillside towards us. We've been hit by the sky cranes and the water drop here, and they've done a pretty good job of protecting the Reagan Library, but the flames came up the hill. Philip, I know you're familiar with the library. You guys have been up here a few times. As you go up the road here, the flames got to within 20 feet of where we were when the cranes came in, did their job, dumped the water. We were underneath it. And then there's a lot of smoke. We can still feel the heat from the fire and the smoke, what's going on around here. But the good news is that the aerial assault is working.
We're going to shift from, we're going to keep your shot up, but also we've been watching in a split screen a situation with a giant, powerful horse. It's very stressed out. They're trying to get it out of there. Marco de Robles is on the scene right now watching this take place. Mark.
We stand here. We got ash covering your forehead. It's not healthy to be out here. How long do you stay?
As long as I'm needed. Until I'm told to get the heck out of here. You know, we've done Malibu fire, we've done the Woolsey fire, we did the Thomas fire, we did Paradise fire. We go.
There we go. We got this horse loaded. That is good to see. Pretty incredible.
You know,
determination. They didn't stop.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, that took about a half
David
an hour.
and Ellen, this is definitely a developing situation.
There's certainly some of the most powerful winds that we have seen in years in specific areas. And in fact, I think we can go here now, but I believe we have Rob McMillan standing by in Fontana to give you an example of how powerful these winds are. Look what is behind Rob right now.
That's right. We're here in Fontana, and if there is any good news out here in the Inland Empire, it's that as we scan the horizon, we don't see signs of any fires yet. But here on the freeway, an absolute mess. This is one of two big rigs that's tipped over, and we're actually using it as kind of a windbreak right now because the winds are absolutely howling. As you were mentioning, these are some of the strongest winds I've ever felt in my 12 years here. My photographer Martin was saying that these are some of the strongest winds he's felt since the 1990s. Here, I want to show you real quick that down behind our truck there on the northbound side, it's way off in the distance, perhaps, you know, about 200 yards. That's where there's another down big rig on that side of the freeway. Two down big rigs right now, causing a lot of traffic on the 15. But fortunately right now, despite these winds, we don't see any fires off in there. Oh, did this one just go over, Martin? I don't think this one was here when we arrived. This big rig just went over in the time that we were doing this live shot.
Oh my goodness. Rob, we're watching these men just try to stand up. Look at that. They are literally having to try to hold onto their hats and try to stand still, and they're just wobbling about. It's just amazing to watch these winds. And now you have three big rigs in that area down.
We're going to continue to monitor what we're watching develop here in Simi Valley overhead. We also want to check back in with Leticia Juarez. She's live in Jurupa Valley. And Leticia, your crew had to pack up and leave because of yet another fast-moving brush fire there.
Well, it appears right now that they are taking the seniors from that senior health care center I mentioned here. As you can see, a line of them are being wheeled down the street here. They're going down the street. It's a very intense wind gusts here, and these patients appear to be very fragile as they try to get them safely to an evacuation area loaded onto some vehicles so that they can get out of this area because the smoke here is just getting intense. I mean, they have folks on gurneys that they're trying to wheel out of here as well. That appears it's going to take like an ambulance to get that patient out of here. But most of them are headed down towards the Pedley off-ramp where earlier I did see some school buses. I don't know if those patients are being loaded onto anything there. I actually don't see that happening. In fact, I see them just kind of congregating down at the off-ramp there. But this is what the evacuation looks like right now as the smoke here is starting to get much thicker. The wind is pretty intense. these healthcare workers are walking with these very frail patients, trying to get them to safety. But as you can see right over here, it appears there's going to be a drop, a helicopter drop right overhead. They're circling because that fire is getting lower on this hillside. You can see where moments ago this fire did not exist, but now the fire has gotten closer to the end of this hillside. So they got to get these people out of here as quick as possible. The evacuation's still ongoing. Here's another patient that they're trying to bring out, trying to remove them as far away into safety as possible until they can get some rides and safely remove them somewhere else where they can get the care they need. But the fire is burning. Let's go ahead and turn, if you can show kind of like what the smoke that is coming off here. Right behind here is where you see the firefight is happening because it is really getting into that brush. Can we just show the residents one more time of that healthcare center? They all are staged right here as they try to wait for someone to help pick them up and get them to safety.
Leticia, where you guys are walking now, is the fires seem to be spreading still away from that healthcare and medical facility?
It does appear that the fire has moved past that that healthcare center, so it's actually clear in that direction, but the fire has moved on. It's now getting into this a little bit of a gully or valley here where the kind of mountain kind of dips a little. We're seeing the flames just in the distance here. You just saw that helicopter doing a water drop there because the fire is getting pushed along. And you have sheriff deputies that are trying to clear people out of the area who are trying to capture some of the fire on their cell phone video. As you can see, the fire is just burning into this brush, light grassy fuels, which is not as dangerous, but can still be just as dangerous when it casts off the embers. They don't want it to get into any of those trees and the lighter fuels, which can really burn intensely. And then, of course, you got more dangerous situation. This fire is moving, though, in a westerly direction. As I mentioned, I'm not too sure yet exactly what is beyond, but I know there are neighborhoods as you move down west on the 60 freeway.
We begin the noon hour with some distressing news that yet another fire has now broken out.
And we have Dory Rand up in Air 7 HD to tell us more about that and where this fire is.
Just off the 57 freeway. You can see there's a small road that's south of Brea Canyon Road just to the east of the freeway. So far, both directions of the 57 are open and moving, but the northbound side is moving really slowly as drivers kind of drive back these flames that are towering above them to the east.
We're going to go to this hill fire. That's in Jurupa Valley. We've seen Leticia Juarez looking at the Riverside Heights Healthcare Center that was evacuated. Some very dramatic photos of these elderly people trying to make themselves, strong enough to hold up in the wind. Leticia, what can you tell us now?
Well, I can tell you that they did get those seniors evacuated. They got ambulances and they got private cars to move them, especially as those flames did eventually reach the roadside and we saw those seniors sitting in that thick, heavy smoke. But luckily, they got them out of there. I want to show you what the firefighters look like now because now it has moved into a neighborhood here. As I thought when I was standing just east of the fire, it's moved west here. You can see the firefighters in here just trying to cool off those hot spots, but you also have residents in the distance doing their own hose work out there trying to cool off those hot spots. You got helicopters above, but I have to tell you the fire has moved and it has pushed the fire into the neighborhood. Just Dave, go ahead and turn over here. Let's look at how thick that smoke is just there in the distance. You can see they're still having an intense battle, especially as we've been experiencing these extremely strong gusts that have been pushing these flames, and firefighters right now appear to be just chasing after these flames, trying to get that structure protection in place to protect homes, not so much try to get the fire out, but just trying to protect the homes from these fast-moving flames. Right now, you're taking a look at CAL FIRE Riverside crews as they're trying to battle a grass fire that has gotten into this home's, what looks like an outer shed, some outbuildings. They're trying to get the gate here unlocked. They're using some of their equipment here to unlock this fence here because they got to get in there because there's a lot of just what appears to be a lot of wood and dry grass. They definitely want to get in there before it starts to get some of those homes caught on fire, so they're trying to get into the backyard here to get this fire out. As you can see, it's a very intense fight. We're here along Granite Hill Drive, just between Campbell Street and Hunter Street, where the fire protection is moving in place. These guys are trying to get in there with their hoses to try to get this fire out before it can start to really start putting off those hot embers. We do want to say that the evacuation zone here has expanded as this fire has more intense in this neighborhood. We also do want to mention for parents who are maybe at work that Granite Hill Elementary School, which is located about a short distance from where I'm standing on Hunter, those students have been evacuated to the middle school where parents can pick up their kids at the gym. The wind is continuing to blow, and it has blown the flames from the hill fire here about over 100 acres now. It started near the actually the Harupa Discovery Center, and so you can see the fire is now grown into this gentleman's backyard. Sir, is this your backyard?
Yes, it is.
Okay. What are your concerns at this moment? I mean,
I don't
it's got to be astonishing.
I'm just scared.
Yeah, I see that one of possibly...
No more.
This gentleman, the homeowner here, is calling for more hose. It looks like one of his family members is trying to get some fire on this hotspot. But look at those flames as they are starting to touch just the home that's just on the other side of that concrete wall.
This is my daughter's house.
So this gentleman here is really concerned because he says this is his daughter's house. Just on the other side is another home. You can see that they have some sort of like wooden pop-up just in the back of the home here, so they're worried about that, of course, starting to cast off those hot embers. They want to start putting protection in place. There's actually quite a few wooden structures in the back of that home, so I can't imagine. Oh, there goes a tree. It's getting into the trees here. As you can see, they're trying to get some water onto these flames, try to get it out. They're calling for more hose, more water as they try to get these flames out with the wind that is pushing in. But you know, the fire that is right here in front of them, there's also fire just behind them as well, because there's a lot of smoke in this neighborhood. They're casting off more hoses as they try to get those connected and get more water on this fire. It's an intense fight here. You can see how much smoke is getting put off, and then you got to worry about the home that is just beyond here, because the home has a lot of wooden structures in it. So,
and Miriam Hernandez has been in Simi Valley on the ground there. And Miriam, it looks like the winds are still whipping where you are.
Tell me if they're okay. We are here on Olson Road, where firefighters here have been trying to hold the line for the last couple of hours. We've seen the fire encroach on this brush area just below us in the ravine. Here's another helicopter coming to make a water drop reservoir just on the other side of this hill, providing the water they need to supply. Here it goes. We've been getting showered several times here, but now you can see, whoa, okay, that's cold. Sean, if you can see it to your left, the crews on the other side of the street trying to protect that side now. That's new.
Dan Romero, we've been talking about these extreme red flag conditions, fire danger. We're obviously seeing it this morning of sort of on cue. We knew we were going to see some sort of fires breaking out. We certainly didn't want to see several, but that is what we're dealing with. And how are the winds looking right now?
Yeah, and they are still in a very, very dangerous profile. Again, we're talking about those Santa Ana winds out of the northeast. So really drying things out as they move through those areas. So we can see how those winds are blowing through the afternoon. We're going to stay in this very dangerous high wind category. The other part of this weather picture, the other part that makes the red flag warning happen right now, are how dry things are. I mentioned it's not hot, but we need 2 out of 3 components to get the red flag conditions up. It's kind of giving you an idea here. We kind of check around the fire areas and the intensity going on there with the winds especially going on. Simi Valley with its single-digit humidity readings, and combine that with those gusts in that 60-mile-per-hour category. That's a very dangerous area. Firefighters are doing amazing work to stay on top of the fires in those spots. Calabasas had an incident going on. Those winds a little less so, but still gusts in that 30-mile-per-hour range, with, of course, higher gusts very possible throughout the rest of the day. There are still more strong winds to come, so don't let up in that regard. And again, the winds are out of the northeast, those Santa Ana kind of conditions. The Harupa Valley fire we were talking about, those have those strong wind gusts in that 35, 40-mile-per-hour range, again, out of the northeast. So again, that's Santa Ana conditions going on. So we're seeing, again, Colleen and Ellen, that those winds are still a factor. Now will continue to be a factor. Still very, very strong, still extreme. No let up in sight as far as the winds and especially those humidities. It's staying dry as well. Go ahead, you guys. Back to you.
Wow. Well, Danny, thank you very much for the update. Well, on the left-hand side of your screen, you're seeing some very dramatic video live. Let's go to Annabelle Munoz with that. Annabelle.
Go.
All right, you can see these flames right here. There was a fire engine that just got into this area. They were setting up, but those flames moved really quickly. They had to move out of here. There's a fire engine just behind that over to the right. I believe where these flames are coming from are near that horse boarding facility that we've been talking about. We could feel the heat. I mean, when we first walked into this road, we couldn't see the flames. We could see a big, thick plume of smoke. But within seconds, those flames got right up against that fence right here, burning all of these palm trees that you're looking at right now.
This is incredible, Colleen. We were just over the Easy Fire. We looked straight across the Simi Valley in the eastbound direction and saw some thin smoke coming from the 118. And sure enough, here you can see a very heavy fire now with lots of trees well involved and some houses right behind it. Just in the last few minutes that we've been showing you this fire, how quickly this has spread from the 118 freeway, making steady progress as it marches southbound along Yosemite Avenue. This has happened in a matter of minutes, just a couple of minutes. We've been watching this fire jump from tree to tree, and certainly you can see it's all blowing in the direction of these homes.
Hi, I'm so sorry to stop you. How are you doing, and how quickly did you realize this fire got here?
I mean, I'm pretty frantic right now, but just trying to. It took seconds to figure out that this fire was here.
And I saw you putting some pets in crates earlier. Yeah. What's the situation with your pets?
Well, we're going over to, so I don't live here with my parents anymore. So when my parents called me, telling me the fire was right here, I drove as fast as I could. So we're taking them to my house.
Okay, and then is that your father who's up on the roof hosing it down?
Yeah, that's my dad.
Is he going to be sticking around? Is he planning to evacuate with you?
No, he's going with us. Yeah, okay. Yeah, he's just doing whatever we can to save our house, you know.
And we want to take you now back to Jurupa Valley, that hill fire that they have been waging a desperate fight against. It's now close to some homes. Let's go to Jory Rand at Air 7 HD. Jory?
Yeah, David, we were getting really worried watching this fire. It was creeping on the backs of these homes. It was burning slowly away from the homes. The problem was the wind is blowing towards the homes. And so we were waiting to see whether these trees that are directly behind this home just off of Fleming Street, which is a small extension off of Granite Hill Drive, were going to reach the homes. Finally, some of these trees started to go and they were fully engulfed here for a second. The hand crew was at a home next door to the west of the home you see them at right now, because there were flames there as well, kind of in between these two homes on the left. You see the engine there. They finally saw that the trees to the right were going up in smoke and flames, and they were able to get a hose line over there, and they have put this down. But those flames were reaching 10, 20, 30 feet up into the air and blowing directly towards the homes.
Hey there, guys. We're taking a live look at the Easy Fire just to the east of the 23. You can see the DC-10 moving into position here as they continue to, 737, as they continue to conduct water drops and put out some of these hotspots that have been continuing to pop up near Tierra Rajada Road. And now there is a report, we're going to try and confirm this here and see where this plane goes, but a report that this fire has jumped the 23 freeway. That has been something they've been trying to prevent all morning long, and that drop that you saw just there right along Shawnee Street, or just north of Shawnee Street, is apparently where this has happened. It's apparently about a quarter mile just to the west of the 23, and as I look out the window here, I don't see any active flames, so it looks like they've been able to kind of squash this fire relatively quickly here. It looks like there were some flames right there, and they have immediately put those down with some Phos-Chek and some water drops, making quick work in this neighborhood at the end of Crab Apple Court.
Extreme red flag conditions fueling fires, destroying structures, and forcing mass evacuations. Homes threatened from Ventura County on the west out to Riverside County on the east. The biggest of those threats out in Simi Valley, the Easy Fire, forcing about 7,000 mandatory and voluntary evacuations in parts of Simi Valley, Moore Park, and Thousand Oaks. Nearly 1,500 acres have burned, several structures have been destroyed, and the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library was threatened, but the museum has has not sustained any structural damage. And a fast-moving brush fire threatened homes and forced evacuations in Jurupa Valley. That's in Riverside County. And these red flag conditions, which toppled big rig trucks, will remain in effect through tomorrow.